The Law of One, Session 104. July 27, 1983.
104.0 I am Ra. We greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. We communicate now.
104.1 Questioner. Could you first please give me the condition of the instrument?
I am Ra. The readings are somewhat less distorted towards physical bankruptcy and vital energy loss than at the previous asking. There is still considerable bias in these readings.
104.2 Questioner. The instrument would like to know what's the optimum amount of aerobics, walking, and whirlpool exercises for the best condition at this time.
I am Ra. We shall answer in two ways. Firstly, to speak to the general case which pertains to this instrument in varying degree, each form of exercise is well accomplished approximately 3 to 4 times per your week. The amount of exercise, all quantified as one sum, is approximately 1 hour per diurnal period. We now answer in a second way, distorted in this response to the duple conditions of yellow ray, physical difficulty, and mind complex distortion. The swirling waters then must needs be viewed as being appropriate 4 to 5 of your times per week. The walking and the exercising as much as is desired by the entity. The total of all these should in no case exceed 90 minutes per diurnal period. The yellow ray, physical body has been experiencing that which is called lipoid changes in much tissue of muscle and some of the organs as well. The exercise regains the wasting physical muscular strength. In some ways the walking is the more appropriate exercise due to the proximity of the entity to second-density creatures, particularly your trees. However, the habitation you enjoy does not offer such opportunity and instead offers the proximity to creations of mind/body/spirit complexes. This does not feed the mental/emotional needs of this entity, although it produces the same physical result. The exercise fulfills more of the mental/emotional need due to the entity's fondness for rhythmic expressions of the body such as those found in athletic endeavors derivative of the artifact system which is known among your peoples as the dance. We suggest the support group encourage any exercise except that which exceeds the time limit which is already far beyond the physical limitations of this body complex. It is the way of distortion that in order to balance a distortion one must accentuate it. Thusly, the overwearing of the body may, if correctly motivated, produce a lack of deficit at which juncture the lesser exercise limitations should be put into practice.
104.3 Questioner. The instrument has determined that the unwise use of her will is its use without the joy and faith components, and constitutes martyrdom. Would Ra comment on that, please?
I am Ra. We are pleased that the entity has pondered that which has been given. We would comment as follows. It is salubrious for the instrument to have knowledge which is less distorted towards martyrdom and which is rich in promise. The entity which is strong to think shall either be strong to act or that which it has shall be removed. Thus manifestation of knowledge is an area to be examined by the instrument. We would further note that balancing which, in this entity's case, is best accomplished in analysis and manifestation seated with the contemplation of silence, may be strengthened by manifested silence and lack of routine activity. We may go no further than this recommendation of regularized leisure, and desire that the entity discover the fundamental truths of these distortions as it will.
104.4 Questioner. Is there anything further that we can do to help the instrument's stomach and back spasming problem?
I am Ra. The greatest aid is already being given to the fullest. The encouragement of the instrument to refrain from the oil-fried nature of foodstuffs in its intake is helpful. Cheerful harmony is helpful. The spasms must subside as a function of the entity's indigo-ray work and, to some extent, the recommendations made in response to a previous query. The definitive refraining from overstepping the already swollen boundaries of physical limitation is recommended. The infection remains and the symptoms are now far less medicable, the entity having chosen the catalyst.
104.5 Questioner. Can you tell us what is wrong with our cat Gandalf's eyes?
I am Ra. The one known as Gandalf nears the end of its incarnation. Its eyesight dims and the aqueous membrane becomes tough. This is not a comfortable circumstance, but is one which causes the entity no true discomfort.
104.6 Questioner. Is there anything that we can do to alleviate this situation?
I am Ra. There is a course of therapy which would aid the situation. However, we do not recommend it as the condition is more benign than the treatment.
104.7 Questioner. I don't understand. Could you explain what you meant?
I am Ra. A doctor of the allopathic tradition would give you the drops for the eyes. The cat would find the experience of being confined while the drops were given more distorted than the discomfort it now feels but is able to largely ignore.
104.8 Questioner. Can the cat see at all?
I am Ra. Yes.
104.9 Questioner. Well, does it seem that the cat will lose all of its vision in the near future? Or is the cat very near death?
I am Ra. The one known as Gandalf will not lose eyesight or life on most possibility/probability vortices for 3 of your seasons, approximately.
104.10 Questioner. I feel very bad about the condition of the cat, and really would like to help it. Can Ra suggest anything that we can do to help out Gandalf?
I am Ra. Yes.
104.11 Questioner. What would that be?
I am Ra. Firstly, we would suggest that possibility/probability vortices include those in which the entity known as Gandalf has a lengthier incarnation. Secondly, we would suggest that this entity goes to a graduation if it desires. Otherwise, it may choose to reincarnate to be with those companions it has loved. Thirdly, the entity known to you as Betty has the means of making the entity more distorted towards comfort/discomfort.
104.12 Questioner. Do you want to tell me who you mean by Betty? I'm not sure who that is, and what Betty would do.
I am Ra. The one known as Carla has this information.
104.13 Questioner. Well, I was concerned about the possibility of moving. If we did move, this would make it very difficult for Gandalf to find his way around a new place if he can't see. Does he see enough to be able to find his way around a new environment?
I am Ra. The vision is less than adequate but is nearly accommodated by a keen sense of smell and of hearing. The companions and the furnishings being familiar, a new milieu would be reasonably expected to be satisfactorily acceptable within a short period of your space/time.
104.14 Questioner. Could we administer the drops you spoke of that would help his eyesight so that he wouldn't be confined? Is there any way that we could do that?
I am Ra. It is unlikely.
104.15 Questioner. There's nothing that we can do to. Is there any other possibility of using any techniques to help his eyesight?
I am Ra. No.
104.16 Questioner. Is this loss of eyesight? What is the metaphysical reason for the loss of the eyesight? What brought it about?
I am Ra. In this case, the metaphysical component is tiny. This is the condign catalyst of old age.
104.17 Questioner. Would the drops that you spoke of that would aid the eyesight? How much would they aid the eyesight if they were to be administered?
I am Ra. Over a period of applications, the eyesight would improve somewhat, perhaps 20, perhaps 30%. The eye region would feel less tight. Balanced against this is rapidly increasing stiffness of motion so that the holding in a still position is necessarily quite uncomfortable.
104.18 Questioner. Then Roth thinks that the benefit derived from the drops would not be worth the cat's discomfort. This would probably. Is there any way that the cat could be given anesthetic and drops put in the eyes so that the cat was not aware of getting the drops?
I am Ra. The harm done by putting the allopathic anesthetic into the body complex of this harvestable entity far overshadows the stillness accruing therefrom, which would allow administration of medicaments.
104.19 Questioner. I'm sorry to belabor this subject so much, but I was really hoping to come up with some way of helping Gandalf. I assume then that Ra has suggested that we just leave things as they are. How many applications of drops would be necessary to get some help for the eyes, roughly?
RA, approximately 40 to 60.
104.20 Questioner. 40 to 6 what? Each day? Once a day? Or something like that?
I am Ra. Please expel breath over this instrument's breast.
This was done as directed. 104.2. One questioner. Is that satisfactory?
I am Ra. Yes.
104.2. Two questioner. I had asked if the drops should be administered once per diurnal period. Is that correct?
I am Ra. This depends upon the allopathic physician from whom you receive them.
104.2. Three questioner. What is the name of the drops?
I am Ra. We have a difficulty. Therefore, we shall refrain from answering this query.
104.24 questioner. I am sorry to belabor this point. I am very concerned about the cat. And I understand that Ra recommend we don't use it. I just use the drops and we won't. I just wanted to know what it was we weren't doing that would help the eyesight. I apologize for belaboring this point. I'll close just by asking Ra if you have any further recommendation that you could make with respect to this animal. This cat.
I am Ra. Rejoice in its companionship.
104.25 questioner. Sigh. When we got our introduction back from our publisher to the book, which was originally called The Law of One, in the introduction, Carla had been speaking of reincarnation, and there was a sentence added. It said, "For although originally part of Jesus' teachings, they were censored from all subsequent editions by the Empress." Would Ra please comment on the source of that being placed in our introduction?
I am Ra. This follows the way of subjectively interesting happenings, conditions, circumstances, or coincidences. We would suggest one more full query at this time.
104.26 questioner. Prior to the veiling process, there was, I am assuming, no archetypical plan for the evolutionary process. It was totally left up to the free will of the mind/body/spirits to evolve in any way that they desired. Is this correct?
I am Ra. No. I am Ra. We leave you in appreciation of the circumstances of the great illusion in which you now choose to play the pipe and timbrel and move in rhythm. We are also players upon a stage. The stage changes. The acts ring down. The lights come up once again. And throughout the grand illusion and the following there is the undergirding majesty of the one infinite creator. All is well. Nothing is lost. Go forth rejoicing in the love and the light, the peace and the power of the one infinite creator. I am Ra. Adonai.